Hey, what's going on, Pats Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Cans Pats Talk Patriots podcast. It's Thursday. We do have Thursday night football tonight. Bengals at Ravens. So I'm gonna predict that game here shortly. But I do have a special guest that is joining me tonight, and let me go ahead and introduce him in here. Harrison Graham from Chat Sports, the Chicago Bears Now on podcast. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? We might have one of the more relevant games of the week between the
Yeah,
Bears and the Patriots, but plenty of storylines for both teams.
plenty, man. Two rookie quarterbacks, two teams. I guess you could say going in two different. Well, the Bears are 4-4. The Patriots are 2-7. Chicago Bears coming off of a bad loss to the Cardinals, and then who y'all lose to the week before the
It was
Cardinals.
that Hail Mary loss to
The hell,
Jaden
yeah.
Daniels and the Commanders, which
Sorry to bring that up,
may
man.
have derailed the season, so I'm sure we'll get into
Right.
it all.
Yeah, so we about to get into all of that, man. Just a bunch of y'all in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button on YouTube, share the content on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram. Also, let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, at HGram NFL. My YouTube page or channel's called Bears Now by Chat Sports. So you can find me there, Instagram, HGram NFL. So same over there as well.
Yeah, so if y'all interested in Bears content, make sure y'all go check him out. He does do some pretty good content on Twitter, man, and on YouTube. Go check him out. These Chicago Bears, man. What do you make of so far this season so far? It's kind of some ups and downs with Caleb Williams. I'm hearing like a lot of some body language issues with your wide receiver DJ Moore. Then you got just I don't know stuff going on in the locker room. Then y'all coming off the embarrassing loss with the Cardinals. What do you make so far of the season so far? The Bears, the ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean, I think this part of this is just life with a rookie quarterback. There's going to be some ups and downs. Obviously, it's rolling for Jaden in Washington, but that's
Yeah.
the exception, not the norm. For me, my biggest takeaway, especially coming out of the bye week, because they started 4-2, they had won 3 in a row for the first time under Matt Eberflus in his 2.5 years, feeling pretty good. And then out of the bye week, they have that tough kind of grind out type of game in Washington, and Caleb Williams, who struggled much of that game, finds a way to drive him down late, and they punch it in with about 25 seconds left. But some coaching mismanagement down the stretch of that game. Tyreek Stevenson, John with the crowd on the last play of the game, ends up tipping the ball to Noah Brown on the Hail Mary. And it's one of the classic plays that it kind of beat them twice because they just were not ready to play last week against Arizona. Caleb admitted after the game that they did not do a good job of getting over the loss the prior week. So now they're 4-4, whereas if they don't give up that Hail Mary, maybe they're 6-2. Maybe they come ready to go against Arizona. So feels like their back's against the wall. The fan base is turning on the head coach. Caleb hasn't played as well the last couple of weeks. So it's a pretty big game. I'll say this. If they lose to New England at home, where they've won 8 in a row at home, dating back to last year.
So my job might be in jeopardy.
Yeah, there's some real thought that if it's not the head coach, it could be the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, that's in trouble. So the Bears are feeling the pressure, both players and coaches. It's a big week in Chicago.
It's very interesting because we see it's not a talent issue. Personnel, well, going up against the Patriots, personnel, you put the Patriots on one side of the ball and the Bears, y'all knock us out of the water. You got DJ Moore, you got him last year in the draft. Well, not in the draft, but in the with the trade with the Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah, with the trade with the Panthers. You got Keenan Allen. I think he still got a little bit of juice left in him. Roma Duns, they haven't really. I think he might be leading y'all in yards right now, but I really haven't seen the flashes so far for him. But he's still, he was a pretty good addition. On Cole Kmet, I like Cole Kmet coming out of Notre Dame. I like what I've seen from DeAndre Swift, but it seemed like the offensive line's been like in shambles the last couple of weeks. Braxton Jones, I think, is he playing this week? I know he came back to practice this week.
Yeah, he missed. We'll start there, then I can hit on some of the other stuff. He missed last week with the knee issue, was limited today, so could be trending in the right direction. We'll see what his designation is tomorrow. If I had to guess, I'd say he gives it a go this week, and they need him to because when fully healthy, this offensive line is average to above average.
Ooh.
With the injuries they have, it's not a very good unit. You guys in New England know what bad offensive line play looks like right
Yes, we
now.
on our ninth this week. Be our ninth different offensive line.
Yeah. It's there a lot of shuffling right now in Chicago as well. It's not just Braxton, the right tackle Darnell Wright, who they took in the top 10 a couple years ago. He's probably not going to play this week. They signed Nate Davis last year to be their right guard. He hasn't worked out. He's on the bench. So they got a lot of moving parts there. They have not protected Williams well at all, especially the last couple of weeks. He's been sacked 29 times in 8
Good
games
gracious.
this year. So on pace to take, I think, 62 sacks. So they got to get that cleaned up. And I think part of that's on their OC, Shane Waldron. Last couple of weeks, they've tried a lot of these slow developing downfield routes, whereas in the 3-game winning streak before the bye week, Caleb was completing 74% of his throws, a lot of quick game action, spread it out, find the matchup, get the ball out. And we just haven't really seen that the last couple of weeks. And you mentioned Cole Kmet. He was a big part of that. The last 2 weeks, he's got 1 target on 1 catch, or 1 catch on 1 target. It's like, where'd he go? Keenan Allen, you mentioned too. I agree he's got a little something left, but they're trying to use him as a vertical threat where he's a short area quickness guy. So I think it's a bad utilization of the personnel you have and bad play calling in certain situations. I'm sure you saw the play late in Washington where they hand the ball off to a backup offensive lineman on the goal line. He fumbles, and it's just like, you don't have to overcomplicate these things. So I think they got to simplify things a little bit, get the quick passing game going to help mitigate their offensive line issues.
On to the defense. What do you think the weakness is with the defense? I know your run defense isn't that good. Then Andrew Billings, he's on IR, so he's probably out for at least the next 4 games. Yeah, he's gonna be done for the year. The pass rush has been okay, but not as good when Montez Sweat is Sweat. I think Sweat came back to practice.
He's gonna play. He was full today. It's kind of staggering. I did a video on this earlier this week. When Sweat plays, since he's been here,
I seen that. Mm-hmm.
They're like top 10 across the board. They're very good. When he doesn't play, either before he got here or in the game last week, they're below average. So it's kind of crazy how big of an impact he has, but he's going to be back, so that should help. Their pass rush has actually been better than expected this year. It's kind of been a collaborative effort. A bunch of guys have like 3 to 5 sacks. They don't really have that dominant guy, but it's kind of been spreading the wealth. But you're right on the run defense. It's been an issue. It was the best or second best in the league last year. TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds have not played as well this year, especially Edwards, compared to how he played last year. And their interior defensive linemen do not stop the run well, except for Billings, and he's done now. So I don't know what they're going to do to mitigate that. I know New England has struggled to run the ball, but if I'm
this could be a get-right game for us.
If I'm the Patriots, I'm trying to get Stevenson going this week because that's how you can beat the Bears defense, because their secondary is very good. Jalen Johnson might be the best corner in football, but you can run on this team, and I would expect the Patriots try to do that.
If there is a weakness in the passing game, where would you say is it? Is it the second? Brisker's out with a concussion. If he comes back this year, but where would you say the weakness would be in the passing game?
Their other corner, we mentioned Tyreek Stevenson earlier, who they benched for a couple drives last week, then came back in. He's still a good player, but he's not a shutdown guy like Jalen, so you can pick on him a little bit. But he's a physical guy. He's willing to tackle. Elijah Hicks has been filling in at safety. He's fine. Like, he's a fine
Kyler Gordon
guy.
too.
Gordon was limited today. He's been out with a hammy, so they're optimistic about this week. He was a game time decision last week, didn't go, but I think he's got a good shot to play this week. If he does, Brisker's the only starter out, so that'll be the healthiest they've been in the secondary since the London game in week 6. So if that's the case, I don't know if there's a glaring weakness there, but maybe you can find some downfield targets on Elijah Hicks' side of the field.
Yeah, and then this week you're going up against the Patriots offense. I mean, I was about to ask you what really scares you the most about the offense. And I was going to ask you what have stood out. What have you seen any Patriots games the last few weeks since Drake May been in, and has he impressed you? But
I think he's been pretty solid considering there's not a lot there, right? I mean, the O-line's pretty bad. Owenu's solid, but the rest of that group's underwhelming. Right. The weapons they're okay. I think I would have picked a different receiver instead of Polk in that spot.
Yeah.
But we'll see how he develops. Considering the lack of personnel, I think he's been pretty solid, to be honest.
Yes, I give him. Yeah, he's been pretty. So yeah.
I loved him coming out. I had Caleb as my top QB. I actually had May 2 and Daniels 3, and obviously Daniels has been the best so far.
So
But
you
I like
had May going to Washington.
say what?
You had Drake May going to Washington.
Well, I didn't necessarily predict he would go there. I'm just on my big board, like how I liked the players individually.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Caleb the most, May the second most, Daniels third most. But it was pretty clear leading up to the draft, Daniels was going to go too. I like May's size and athleticism combo. He's got a big arm. He can move. He can make all the throws. He can
Yeah.
be a little erratic at times. Like
Yeah.
he'll have some weird misses, but I think all things considered, when they put him in there, I was like, God, are they going to get him killed behind this offensive line? But he's done pretty well. I
Man,
mean,
it looks night and day difference.
that touchdown to get that game into overtime last week was did they go to overtime? I can't remember.
Yeah, we
now.
went overtime against Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, that was a hell of a play. So, he looks like a good rookie quarterback. Some good, some bad, playing on a bad team, but clearly playing him was the right decision. I wondered if it was with how bad the O-line is, but clearly they made the right call, and he's getting valuable reps here. So.
Yeah, like I said, he's a little erratic at times, and that was on his tape at Carolina. But I think he'll clean it up with the more he played. Because with Jacoby Brissett, Brissett wasn't really turning the ball over, but he wasn't taking us to the promised land either. He wasn't.
He is what he is, right?
Yeah,
like
he
he's a good backup, but that's all.
He kind of is what he is. Luke Neely, appreciate it. Finally called live stream. Love the show, Ken. Let's go, Pat. Shout out from, I guess you're in the UK. All right, appreciate it, man. It's a bunch of y'all in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button on YouTube and share the content on Facebook and the other platforms. Let me see. B from Ohio, what's up? What's going on with you? Jamar, what's going on, bro? But yeah, like I said, a little erratic at times. I think for the most part, he is your offense right now. He had 95 rushing yards last week. He's basically putting the team on his back. Nobody else. I mean, I like Pop Douglas in the slot, but outside of that, we really don't got nothing. I actually think this could be a good Demar Douglas game this week.
What's going on? Is Kendrick Bourne just not healthy, or is he just falling out of favor there? Because before the injury, the last couple of years,
sorry about that.
The last couple of years, I like Bourne. I mean, I know he's not number one, but compared to some of the guys they've been trotting out there, I thought he'd be getting some more PT.
He's not completely healthy. He had the ACL tear last year in November, and we was in Miami. So he's not healthy. He's been tripping, and I think last week was his best game since he's been back. Like 3 catches. Okay. I think he had like 40 yards or something like that last week. So a solid game last week. So I think he's starting to get his feet up under him. But we got Kayshawn Booty at the egg. Jalen Polk, I don't know what's going on with him. I like him coming out, but he went to school at Roma Dunze. But I like him coming out, but I think he's he's in his head right now. Javon Baker, he probably get a few more reps this week. So we got some. You got Hunter Henry, the Sally.
I like Hunter Henry. He's good.
He's been very solid. We're starting to get Jaheim Bell in, but we've seen Drake May he's making these guys better. It's a bunch of no names, but he's making them better. But I think this week again in Chicago, if we can get that running game going, because Drake May hasn't had a run game yet. He has not had a run game yet. There a lot of has to do with the offensive line or whatnot. I think this week if we can get the run game going, it'll help out a whole lot.
Yeah, I think just looking at this QB matchup, with the pressure on Eberflus right now, if New England comes in here and May outplays Williams and the Patriots win this game, I don't know how he survives that. I really don't, because it's year 3 for him. You drafted this quarterback. It's been very up and down. Like, you can't afford to be messing around if you're the Bears. So I think the Patriots come in, you just let it rip. I mean, you got nothing to lose in this spot. The Bears, not just for this season, but for this coaching staff, they have everything to lose if they lose this game. So the pressure is firmly on Chicago. They've been much better at home, really, for about a year now. The second half of last season, they started protecting home field, and this year too. They haven't lost at home, but, man, the fan base has been pretty loud this week. Letting that Hail Mary loss derail last week as well. I mean, a good team doesn't do that. A good team, I'm not saying you go and beat Arizona on the road. They're not a bad team, but they kind of rolled over in that game.
I actually thought Bears were going to win that game last week. I don't know. I mean, I
picked Arizona in a tight game because I was like, the Bears are bad on the road. This is going to be an emotional spot coming off last week. I did not expect them to roll over, which they kind of did. So I have no idea how they're going to come out this week because it's just been a disaster the last couple of weeks.
Can you see the Patriots coming in and win this game, even with the streak that y'all got going on at home, that the Bears got going on at home? Patriots with offensive line problems, new quarterback. Can you see a path where the Patriots could win?
It wouldn't shock me, man. I didn't pick it. I picked the Bears 21-16,
A
but
close game.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think the Bears will run away in this game.
Yeah.
I just can't trust them right now. I do think they'll win just on talent alone. They do have just a lot more raw talent than the Patriots, but they're not that well coached. There's friction, and there seems to be some friction between players and coach. I mean, every other week we keep hearing these stories about, there was another players and coaches meeting this week to air out what's going on. So it's just like the more those add up, that's not good. So it kind of feels like you win. If you lose this game, this thing could really unravel. So I picked the Bears reluctantly. I think it's more of because I just think the
Talent.
Patriots are pretty bad.
Yeah.
But they're at least competitive with May. I mean, they've played better since he's been in there.
So. It looks a lot better.
Yeah.
it
More
definitely
fun for you guys, I'm sure. It gives you something to watch, right? I mean,
yes, I mean,
watching
I could.
Brissett, it's like, well, what's the point of this? We're losing. Brissett's not the future. You might as well just put May in there and see what happens. And he's been pretty good. So,
and this year for the Patriots, it's not about wins or losses. It's about developing a young talent. If you win, great. If you lose, so what? Just be competitive and I want to see growth. If we go out to Chicago and we lose 30-13 or what 30-21 or something like that, but Drake May looks good, those 2 touchdowns, runs pretty good, and we look good, I'm fine with that. I get a high draft pick and all that. I mean, the upside is like, I mean, that's the worst thing that's probably going to happen. A lot of us want, a lot of fans and creators, we want the high draft pick. We don't care too much about the wins or whatnot. So, and losing helps with that. Of course, you go into the game to win every game. And I actually feel we have a good shot. I feel we have a good shot of winning this game. I feel we can come in there. We get the run game going. Cause I want to see Drake May with a run game. He hasn't had a run game in his 3-4 starts. He got hurt against the Jets. Texans, we couldn't run the ball. And Jacksonville, one of the worst defense. We couldn't run the ball against them. And then you seen last week in Tennessee, couldn't run the ball at all. So I want to see once we get a running game how the offense goes then, and see what Alex Van Pelt can do with the offense.
What's been the takeaways from Van Pelt? Kind of mixed.
Yeah, it ain't been good for the most part. Like I mean, I can tell you right now, first play next week we watch the game, it's gonna be probably 2 straight runs, and then we might do a play action. Like it's all over the place. None of his concepts are marrying with, like, if we go, let's say the first play's a run, then he might come out the next play and go 4 or 5 wide or whatnot. Nothing really is marrying up with each other, and that's the main thing I'm seeing with Van Pelt. He's supposed to be a West Coast guy, but he's not even using the personnel we got to the best of their ability.
That's the Bears to a T right now, which it's even more frustrating when you have talent. Like this is the most raw talented offense the Bears have had since they had Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey and Cutler and those guys, 10 years ago. Even if it is a diminished Keenan Allen and a not great offensive line, like these are still real dudes. Like these are real players. So Waldron, their offensive coordinator, he's been a mixed bag. It seemed like he got into a rhythm before the bye week, but these last 2 games after, it's just been like, dude, nothing you're doing makes sense. Like there's no spacing among the receivers. The timing is off. It's just, and to your point, like it's not marrying up. It's like the running game and the passing game should work together. Like you should be setting up plays, and there just doesn't seem to be any of that going on. So I'll say this: take the under in this game for anyone who likes to put a little bread out there. It's I like a low-scoring game in this one. I think 20 points could win this game.
Delusional Patriots fan says, I like this comment. Run up the middle with Antonio Gibson. That's what it's going to be.
Maybe not this week without Billings.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about DeAndre Swift. How has he been to you this year?
He's been pretty good. The first 3 weeks, they could not run the ball. The blocking scheme was awful. He was indecisive, but since week 4 to now, he's been one of the better running backs in the NFL. He's averaging 80, 90 yards a game in that stretch. They've used him as a pass catcher, not as much the last couple weeks, but I would say the last 5 games, he's been what they paid for, which is about $8 million a year. He's been pretty good. So I think he's been their most consistent offensive player this year, to be honest, which shouldn't be the case when you have DJ Moore. But I think he's been pretty solid. So that he's the one guy that most weeks for a while now is giving you pretty good production.
Big from Ohio to the outside zone with a slow running back. One more thing before we get off. Christian Gonzalez, our cornerback. Who do you think we might match? I don't know who we probably put him on because DJ Moore plays in the slot a lot, right?
No, they kind of move their guys around. Like sometimes he's in the slot, sometimes he's outside. All that's the one thing I really liked about this trio coming in is they can all play outside and they can all play the slot. And so they'll move those guys around. Does he shadow Gonzalez?
Yeah, he moved. Yeah, he shadows.
Okay.
He plays zone man. All that.
It'll be interesting to see what they do then. I mean, in theory, DJ should still be their top guy, but they haven't really. None of the three
I
have
was
really.
thinking they might put him on Odunze.
He's got pretty good size, right? So that might make the most sense. They might put him on a Dunze and then just take their chances elsewhere.
I don't like the matchups.
I do think that Rome has the best combination of route running and downfield speed among the guys. DJ is a decent route runner, but he's a more yak guy, yards after the catch.
Yeah.
And Keenan, they're just not using him right. They're trying to make him a vertical threat instead of just getting him quick, short area quickness throws underneath. So I wouldn't be shocked. The Dunze went for 100 plus last week. So maybe they start him on him. I could also see Gonzalez moving around because, like I said, they haven't had that one guy like, 2, 3, 4 games in a row be the clear top guy. So could be one of those where he starts on a Dunze, but if DJ has a big first quarter or something, they might shadow from there. So we'll see.
I don't like the matchups with your second and third receivers against my second and third corners. Marcus Jones going up against probably DJ Moore and then Jonathan Jones. He was getting whooped last week by Westbrook Akeem from Tennessee.
Ooh, that's not a good
so
sign.
I don't like that. But like you say, your offensive line and a lot of the playmaking that Caleb Williams does is out of structure. It's like if it ain't there right then, he kind of moves out the pocket. So I do feel we can keep him kind of in structure, make him play from the pocket. We got a real good chance of winning this game. He hasn't turned the ball over in a couple of weeks.
The one thing he's done well, even when he hasn't played well, is take care of the ball. He's got 5 picks in 8 games, but he hasn't thrown one in the last 3, or in the last 2. He's thrown 1 pick in the last 4 games, so he's taking care of the ball pretty well. The decision making for the most part has been good. He's just been a little inaccurate at times, and the passing game's just been kind of all over the place with the concepts and the personnel usage, and obviously the offensive line getting blown up. So, we'll see how it looks this week. If they can get back to what they were doing before the bye week, I mean, he looked really comfortable in and out of structure. So you kind of just don't know what you're going to get right now because it's been so up and down, which, again, is to be somewhat expected with the rookie, but they have just failed to really build momentum week after week, which has been a little disappointing.
What were your preseason expectations for the team? Did you have them going to the playoffs? Did you have them win about 7 or 8 games? Are they right now? Are they playing how you thought they would be?
I had them as like a 10-win team.
Okay.
Now the NFC North is even better than I thought. I knew
I got a lot of them games coming up soon.
They have not played a divisional game yet. So right now I would not have them winning 10. I'd have them winning like 7 or 8 because I think if you're being objective, they're the worst team in the division. I mean, Detroit looks like the best team in the NFC. Green Bay has owned the Bears, and Minnesota is very well coached. And we keep waiting for the Darnold disaster, but it hasn't happened yet. So you'd have to have them 4th behind those 4, but we'll see. I mean, they obviously have to win this game if they're going to have a chance to be a playoff team. You can't afford to lose 3 straight because their final 8 games are their 6 divisional games. All 6 will be tough. At San Francisco, and then Seattle comes to town. Not a gimme either. So there's no games left after this that you feel like, okay, you should win this. Like the Bears should win this game against New England, but the way they've played the last 2 weeks, it's not
a guarantee.
Not a guarantee. No.
All right, man. Before we get off tonight, you got Ravens Bengals tonight. You got a prediction for this game?
Dude, I don't know how I feel about this one. Isn't this the second time they've played? Right? Didn't they have
Yeah,
a they
Baltimore
had
beat
a
them in a crazy game. I
yeah
think it went
crazy
overtime
shootout
a
a
few weeks
few
ago.
weeks ago? This one's in Baltimore. I guess I'll take the Ravens. I don't trust their defense, which is weird to say, but it has not been the same this year. But feels like Derrick Henry has kind of taken that offense to the next level.
Yeah,
I like the Deontay Johnson addition as well. I'll
yeah,
take Baltimore, but Burrow's been really good. Um, it just kind of feels like both are really good offensively, and Baltimore's defense is at least slightly better than Cincinnati's. So
yeah. Maybe a
I'll
high
take the
scoring. Well, I don't know if it'd be high scoring because it's a short week. Some of
yeah.
these teams come out rusty, so
I'll say 28-24. I'll go Ravens by 4. I think they're a 6-point favorite, so I'd take Cincinnati to cover, but I'll pick the Ravens in this spot.
sounds good. Sounds good to me, man. And that is Harrison Graham. We got some new viewers out here. Let everybody know where they can find you one more time.
Yeah, appreciate
For the
everybody
new view-
watching. If you want to find me at HGraham NFL on Twitter and Instagram, and you can search Bears Now by Chat Sports on YouTube. That's where you can find my YouTube content.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate everybody joining us tonight, man. Make sure y'all go support Harrison Graham. He do some good work on YouTube and Twitter. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Kansas Pack Stalk YouTube. Hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. Don't take but a second, man. Don't take but a second. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one and enjoy some football this weekend, man. Once again, appreciate it, bro.
All right, man. Take care, Kendall.
Yes, sir.